Yeah, in terms of the period within which we decided to petition, you must remember that the Electoral Process Act and its regulations basically give us 14 days from the date of announcement of the results of an election to petition. So, of course, we needed time to put together our petition, to put together our witnesses and the like. So that's the reason why we filed last week, our petition. But coming to the reasons as to why we decided to petition, it is essentially because of the violence, the blatant nature of the violence, whereby the UPND and its cadres decided to attack our people. They injured our people, especially our, PEP Women's Choir, which is made up of women, ladies, and assaulted them. And this happened right there at the nomination center on both nomination days. That is the first nomination, which took place on the 28th of December, as well as the second nomination, which took place on the 20th of January 2022. And in the first attack, we identified the people who were involved and we reported them to the police. And the docket was opened and we got medical reports. We went to hospital, completed them, took them back to the police. But up to now, no action has been taken against the perpetrators of that violence. And from our standpoint, this is just one of the several elections that we are going to be participating with the UPND. And we do not want the UPND to make the Kabwata by-election as a blueprint of how they are going to handle future elections in terms of intimidation of opposition political parties like ourselves. So we want to send a very clear and unequivocal message to the UPND that we are not going to allow their intimidation. We might be considered as a smaller political party, but leave us alone in our smallness. If we fail to win an election, it should be because we did not campaign enough. It should not be because we were afraid to campaign because of UPND attacks. It cannot be. And we shall not allow them to intimidate us. So that is primarily the reason why we decided to petition that seat. And we are very confident that we are going to have a positive outcome in this particular petition.
If a by-election had to come into play, do you think this could also change the result, or what exactly could happen with the outcome of this election, considering what it was from the just ended by-election?
Well, from our standpoint, the Kabwata election was not free and fair. And we cannot speculate what the outcome might have been if the election was free and fair. We can only find out what the outcome might have been if the election is free and fair, if this election is nullified and we hold a fresh election which is free and fair. And then we can see to say, oh, okay, since this election is now free and fair, this is what the true outcome is. But for as long as an election is not free and fair, we cannot speculate what the outcome would have been. We cannot speculate whether we would have gotten the poor results that we got or whether we would have gotten better results. We can't speculate that. It is like, you are in a race and then one of the competitors, their legs are tied and his colleagues, win the race. And then you start speculating to say, but you came out last. Do you think if your legs were untied, you would have performed well? We can't know.
But essentially,
we can only know if that person's legs are actually untied and he freely participates in the particular race.
From the reasons you have brought up from your petition, aren't you essentially saying that because of it not being free and fair, the UPND, who you've cited in this petition, had the upper hand in winning because of it not being free and fair? Isn't that what you're essentially saying?
Yes, essentially. That is what we are saying.
So, meaning you're saying removing all these aspects you've brought up of the violence, among other issues, you feel that they would not have the same type of upper hand or result if a by-election had to come into play.
That is correct.
So, meaning you are pretty much agreeing that there's a possibility that the outcome will be different.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Now let's understand this also, because you have alleged, yes, that the UPND engaged in violence and attacked PEP during this particular period, and you reported this. From what the police are saying, the Inspector General of Police prior to the election did mention that, well, it was incident-free throughout. So if you reported these situations and these cases, and the IG coming out and saying that it was an incident-free, what's your comment on that, as well as the Patriots for Economic Progress?
Well, we find that very regrettable. And I think that's a challenge to you, the media, because you, the media, have a very important role to play. So when you hear a statement coming from the Inspector General of Police saying that the election was free, was free of incidents, you are supposed to ask questions to the IG. You should ask the IG to say, what about the assault of Patriots for Economic Progress supporters at the nomination center at St. Patrick's, which was reported to Kabwata police station and where a docket even exists? What's your view about that particular assault? You're supposed to ask the IG. You're supposed to challenge the IG. That is why you are the media, isn't it? So that one is more of a role which you are supposed to play, because the evidence is there. The evidence of the attack is there. And the matter was reported to the police. A docket was obtained. Medical reports were issued. They were completed and returned to the police. So everything is there. So you're supposed to challenge the IG and say, what do you mean the elections were incident